What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And welcome to Friday's episode. So if you are listening to this episode, this is the one where we talk about everything else. So this one goes a little bit longer. It's a long form podcast where we just talk about nonsense. So definitely tune in throughout the week if you want to hear all of our good cyber stuff. Monday, we talk about how the DC Health Exchange members PII was leaked. So 170,000 people, to include members of Congress, their PII is out there now. We talked about the more of the passwordless future on Tuesday. So definitely check that out, where you see not only are the big three, so Microsoft, Google, and Apple, wanting the passwordless future, but now it seems to be spilling over to celebrities. So you got your pretty much all of the Avengers, the original crew, and as well as Ryan Reynolds, Pharrell, Timberland, Tiger Woods, like the list goes on and on and on and on. People who also want to be invested in this. So it's definitely a cool initiative. Please listen to our thoughts. And then Wednesday, we discussed kind of how the government is moving some more money over to CISA. So I think it's like 160 something million or 140 something $million over them to make them robust. But just the whole initiative of being $3.1 billion being invested in cyber to continue to strengthen and build that out. So definitely tune in to Wednesday's episode to hear that out. And then today, everything else. So with that being said, Shannon, how was your week?
Man, it's all right week, man. I can't complain. Took in a little bit more media. I started watching this new TV show. Will Trent is the name of it. It's this agent that works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And he's dyslexic and he's a very hard time reading, but he's very good at analyzing a crime scene. So he's like one of the best ones there, but he can't read any. Don't ask him to write any reports or read any reports. Like that's that's a different story. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I saw the commercial. That wasn't even hinted at. It's okay.
Yeah, so like that's kind of what it is with him. And he gets a partner from the Atlanta PD, and the way it starts out is he had a bust of corruption in the Atlanta PD, and so like the cops don't like him, but he's always working hand in hand with the cops. You know what I mean? It's a decent TV show. I didn't mind it. I think they're only
which app do I have to watch this on now?
I think it's
Peacock.
I think it's Hulu.
Hulu. Okay, I got that. I got them all.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I don't think I could like you could throw anything out there and I probably have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
right.
the point I'm at right now, but I can never go without seeing something. You know what I mean? So it works for me. I started watching. There's this documentary on Jared Fogle, the subway guy. You know, the pedophile. You know.
What I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious as to how it all came out. You know what I mean? Because like you see the news stories, but they don't go into like the people behind it and what they had to do. I'm only one episode in out of the 3 or 4, but it's an interesting take because there's a woman that was a reporter that he kind of leaned over one time and said something to her that just kind of took her aback, that made her like kind of pursue him going forward, like try to board him and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so I'm interested in like how many people knew, and just like I like to see things like that because it's like depending on what people are, because he was famous, you know what I mean? He was on TV all the time. I'm curious if people they heard different things and just like, you know, because he's a big name now, he's eccentric, right? It's like we say crazy people that are rich are eccentric. They're not crazy. But when you have no money, you're crazy, like that type of thing.
Right. You get a different tag.
Right. So I'm curious as to like if it'll go into, and it may not be the case, right? Because like I said, like as soon as this woman heard something she didn't like she would meet up with them and try to record them and stuff like that. But again, I'm only in the first episode, but it's interesting to me, right? Just to see like how they catch these people and what went into.
Yeah. They pretty much erased him entirely because I brought it up to my kids for some reason. We're talking about Subway, and I brought up Jared, and they had no clue I was talking about.
Yeah,
I got a 17-year-old and a soon-to-be 15-year-old, no clue. They're like, "What is that?" I was like, "Well, I don't really feel like explaining it."
Yeah, no,
he was a pretty weird guy.
Yeah, but that's how it is, right? So like, and like they're showing different clips and stuff from him, and I'm like, man, he was everywhere. Like he was on Oprah,
everywhere.
He was on TV. He had like he would go to like red carpet events where like there's pictures of people that are like with him and whatnot. You're just like, wow, like dang, he really was everywhere. But yeah, you never know what you don't know, right? So like
Mhm.
it's kind of to the point where like I don't know if I'd be surprised if anybody got caught doing anything. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, okay, well,
Right. Like they're all weird, right?
yeah, yeah, like of course, right? But yeah, so I'll keep watching that and see where that goes. But what else did I watch? Watch another episode of Abbott Elementary. I love that show. I think it's hilarious to me. There's another one I watched called American Auto. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. It's this it's this woman that runs like a fictional car company, and like she just can't catch a break, man. Like it's one PR nightmare after another. It's kind of funny though. But what else did I watch? Because I took in some more stuff. I watched this movie Triple Frontier on Netflix. It's about these guys that go into Chile, somewhere in South America. I'm trying to remember where it was. They go somewhere in South America to rob this drug lord of this money, and they end up taking all this money, but adventures ensue, and then let's just say they don't leave with as much as they started with. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, Triple Frontier. Ben Affleck. I think he's a main character in it, but I think he also directed. I think it's Ben Affleck directed, but it's from like 2018 or something like that. It's not a new movie per se, but it's on Netflix. Triple Frontier. It was decent. A lot of camaraderie and whatnot because they were a special forces unit. Some of the guys that, well, all of the guys that were on the team were part of the same special forces unit, and they all got different stuff that's going on, But interesting story. A lot more talking than what I thought it would be. So you know how that is with me. I'm kind of like, it gets to a point where I'm like, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, man, what's all this talking, man? Bring some guns out. You know what I mean? Somebody shoot somebody. but, but yeah, watch that. I've been taking in. So I was on HBO Max, and like a lot of the DC stuff is popping up, and it got me nostalgic,
Mhm.
right? Because Snyder, not Snyder. What's his name? Gunn is over there, just like ripping properties
Yeah,
apart.
he's about to do his own thing.
I'm just like, get rid of this,
Yeah.
get rid of this. And so I started watching some of the old stuff. So I watched Man of Steel, which I liked. I don't like everything Zack Snyder does, but that one was one of the ones I liked. Like I liked
Mhm.
that. I liked Batman versus Superman. A lot of people didn't like Batman versus Superman. Um, I liked that. So I started watching some of the old stuff and I was like, man, it's gotta be better than this, right? Like I'm hoping because Gunn does, he did the Guardians series, right? Like he did all of those. I haven't seen the third one, but the first one,
Right.
I mean, I like them, you know what I mean? So it's like, but this is DC. This is different from Marvel, right? So like
Mhm.
it's got to be dark. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he did the Suicide Squad. That was pretty dark.
But there's more comedy in it though, right? It's like
Oh
he
yeah,
did
he's gonna throw. That's what he does though.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
more comedy in it to where it's
Like
like,
Peacemaker. Peacemaker is dark, but
but I didn't like that one.
funny.
Was that Gunn? Was that Gunn or was that Snyder? That was Gunn?
That was Gun.
Peacemaker? Okay. Yeah, that was so. See, that's why I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
Like I liked Peacemaker in Suicide Squad, but he's sharing it with other people, right? Like to do a
Mhm.
whole series based on him, I wasn't too thrilled with it. It had its moments, but for the most part, no, I wasn't a fan. So like if it's gonna be a lot of Peacemaker and like for me, I don't need to see all of the minor characters, come out and
Right.
get a bunch of series and stuff like that. Like even with Marvel, like it them going down that road is just not really for me. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
Marvel has not been hitting it out of the park every time like they used to me, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it's them trying to do something different, right? Like don't do something. If you have a winning formula, I mean, shouldn't you at least wait until it doesn't work anymore? You know what I mean? Like you were making billions and
Yeah.
all.
I don't know if it's changing though, right? Like so initially they had to go with your Iron Man and a few others, Ant-Man and all the other ones. Scarlett Johansson, she was Black
Black
Widow
Widow.
because it didn't have the Fox properties, right? Like didn't have the things that were owned by Fox or necessarily by Universal. Like they had to borrow the Hulk and things of that nature. So they already started out with not they I wouldn't say Iron Man is a B character, but Iron Man was not the X-Men. So I think they just kept that formula, right? Like moving forward. Like we don't have to have we're building back towards that. I guess we're gonna get to our X-Men and all that stuff like in 2025 or what have you. But let's keep leaning on others within our catalog.
I hear you, but like they're coming up with stuff that was not properties that were owned by other distribution companies or different production companies, right? So like Moon Knight, like it's
Mhm.
not like somebody else owned Moon Knight and they're like, okay, we're gonna do something with Moon Knight now. Miss Marvel, it's not like somebody else
Right.
owned it.
But that's what I mean. They're doing Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Captain Marvel, all those characters because they didn't necessarily have the big catalog at the start. So they're just like it worked, right? Like the Iron Man launched all of this, and Iron Man was not. Um, I liked Iron Man, but he wasn't top tier. He wasn't the X-Men.
Right, right. He wasn't as well known, I guess you could say,
Right.
as some of the other ones.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
then
understand that. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, but yeah, I agree with you. Like maybe it's just too much. Like a decade is a long time. And that saga ended perfectly. So it's like, how do you top that? Like they're trying, I guess. But that phase four was just like, what's going on?
I still haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, and and more time goes by. I'm just gonna wait for it to go out on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And that's the launch of phase five, right? Because the end of phase four was Wakanda Forever.
Yep. Yep. So I don't know. I just it's not really doing anything to spark me to go spend that money to be like, yeah, I think I need to make this happen. And
Right.
like I don't know, it could just be me, right? Like because I mean, I know of some of the stuff from the comic books. I know there are some people that are like really into the comic books and know
Mhm.
a lot. Like I got a guy, there's a guy I work with to where he's like on it, like he knows a lot of stuff, and he'll tell you like in the storyline they did this, that, and the third. And he hasn't read everything, but a lot of the stuff that's coming
Right.
out, he's like, yeah, like he even has it to where he has uh like the different comic books around his desk that are like in plastic
Okay.
holders and whatnot. And he'll be like, yeah, this one right here. You know what I mean? So like he was pointing out Namor, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah,
Mhm.
Submariner was the first one, they did a comic on this, that, and the third. He's from the
Yeah,
30s,
he's the first X-Man
Yeah, yeah. So like I'm like, wow, okay. So
or mutant, not first X-Men, but yeah.
mutant, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like he can talk to a lot of that, you know what I mean? So he's like, I'm excited, to see him,
Right.
'cause I read about him for years, you know what I'm saying? So but now I don't know, man. It just I'm hoping he doesn't come in and it's just a total miss because at that point, because he runs the studio, like whose job is it to get him out of there if they're not successful, right? Like,
Right, right. Well, so that's why I'm excited about the Flash movie coming out, right? Like finally dropping because this is like they're legitimately going to use it for its purpose, right? We're going to reboot the entire DC. It's not they're dropping a whole letter off of it. It's not DCU, it's just DCU, right? So it's going to be interesting to see who stays and who goes because we already know like The Rock is out, Henry Cavill is out, Ezra Miller will probably remain. Maybe this depends on how all that shakes out, right? Like, um, but there's going to be a lot of fresh blood, but then it's going to be a mixture, right? So he can pretty much do anything he wants to. Like when I watched the Flashpoint, you guys put me on the Flashpoint cartoon. That was wild. Like how you can remix characters. Like he could bring somebody back and just put them back in a different capacity, right? Like Henry Cavill could come back, but it's somebody different, right? If they really wanted to do that, make him a bad guy, kill him off. Like they could do that if they wanted to, right? Um, so I think it'll be interesting to see what direction he goes. But I'm already telling you, like it's going to be comedy in there. That's just what he does. So uh,
it's but
hit or miss.
it's good. It's good in certain with certain characters though, right? But like when you look at it, like Batman's not funny. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
it's not the
right.
like he may give a line that's funny, right? Like when I was watching Batman versus Superman, right? So when Wonder Woman shows up, him and Superman look at each other. Is like she with you? He's like, no, I thought she was with you. Like that's kind of funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like you can't like if it goes the direction of like Thor or something like that, where they're just trying to be funny all the time, I'm
No,
like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. But it's
can't
like
have it.
wacky.
Right, because that's what Guardians is, right? Like when you watch
Yeah,
Guardians, like it's comedy all throughout. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't know. I
I
don't
see what you're saying. The
necessarily
third one looks kind of dark though, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah. Well, they're wrapping it up, right? So like people are
yeah,
gonna die. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
And then Peacemaker for all because I enjoyed Peacemaker, but and there was a lot of comedy in it, but it still had like dark moments, right? Like trying to like I can't remember all of it, but I do remember certain scenes where you're just like, oh, that's pretty gruesome or pretty graphic, or his relationship with his dad, things like that. Like so I he won't be directing all of them. He's the Kevin Feige of DC now, right? So he'll just have a crazy amount of influence.
Right. And he'll determine the direction, right? So like if they come up with something and he doesn't like it, he'll be like, no, reshoot that. Add more of this in it, add more of that in it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true. That is true. Yeah.
He's the head of the studio. So he's gotta,
Yeah.
even though he green lights it, he's not gonna green light it and then never look at it again until it goes out into theaters, right?
Right.
Like it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. But I think I would hope that they've learned their lesson from the Snyder era, right? Where they were doing all those reshoots and it just wasn't working out. Like the whole first Suicide Squad movie was reshot pretty much. Like I forget the name of the director. It's like Ayer or something like that. But I would like to see that cut because he said it was darker and better, right? It was like this Snyder cut of the Suicide Squad. That never made it out the cutting room floor. So we have no clue what that was going to look like.
DC's not going to do that again. Like they've come out and said, we do not want to do what we do with the Snyder thing to where there's a demand for it, right? So like
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like hopefully that content will remain darker, like the cartoons. Like they haven't learned their lesson. Like by brightening these things up, they don't necessarily come out good. I would hope.
You would hope that's the case, but I'm not too sure of that, right?
Yeah. No, I got you. Like, when does it even kick off? Like, when is he gonna? Because I know Flashpoint is the beginning of it, right? But they still have like the Blue Beetle movie coming out, which could or could not be canon now, right? And there's something else coming out. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Wonder Woman 3, but it got scrapped, right? Wonder Woman 3 was like, nah.
I thought they scrapped it all together.
Yeah, they scrapped that one. Yeah.
Somebody was telling me no, they delayed it, and I was like, no. Like Patty Jenkins was fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So that's done. Shazam, I think, still fits in there somehow. So that movie, did it drop or is it about to drop?
It's coming out soon.
Yeah. So there's some stuff still happening. So Shazam, Blue Beetle, and no, that doesn't count. That's not part of the DCU, the new Batman series coming out with the Penguin. Like, so that's Colin Farrell's the Penguin. Like that's getting its own TV show, but that's not DCU. That's still the other.
It's Warner Brothers property. This is not coming from that studio, right?
Right. And then the Joker sequel, that's also not part of the DCU. So they still have stuff. In case I guess you don't like the DCU stuff, they'll still have other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not, because even with the stuff, some of the stuff that you mentioned, like it was in the works before he was appointed head of the studio.
Right.
Like
but it won't count also, right? So it's like,
so if it's good, so that would be worse. So like if it's good and it's like, yeah, that's fine, you guys have that, but I'm not going to continue on that. Like even more, I'm going to be like, okay, what are you doing?
Right. But does will he have that jurisdiction as well though? Like for the other stuff? Like, so let's say Joker, I forget what they're calling it, but the sequel to the Joker movie drops and it's a hit. They'll make another one. It just won't be part of the DCU, right? Because they still want to make that money. Like Warner still wants to capitalize on those franchises, I would assume. But I don't know. This might be like a 2026 problem because they still got to make these movies,
yeah,
and edit them and then push them out.
Is Venom going to be in the DCU?
No, so he's Marvel. Yeah. That's Sony's Marvel verse or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I hope he doesn't botch it. And like, I'm not convinced that he won't. Just
I mean, he gets a clean slate though. He gets a clean slate. The Flash thing happens, and then he's just like, I can do anything I want, any components, any pieces. I think they mentioned. I sent you guys the article. He was doing something that was very Marvel-esque in its respect to like his character I never even heard of before. And it was like, I'm gonna make this a movie, yada yada yada. I was just like, that's a deep cut.
Exactly. Like who are you,
but it might be good.
Appealing to? But who are you appealing to at that point, right? Like you're appealing to people that are very deep into the comic books, you know what I mean? That are like, oh yeah, I would like to see that, to where you have to make it stand out. Like you have to way make it stand out to get, you know, more than just that crowd into it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I mean, but they're like, now we may have a chance. It probably will not happen, but we may have a chance to see Thomas Wayne with guns. Could happen. I doubt it though. But it could happen because of the whole Flashpoint situation.
I'm guessing, and I don't know, I could be wrong on this, and maybe I just didn't pay close enough attention, but like Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, I'm curious if he is Thomas Wayne, right? Because he's old. Like in this new Flash movie, he is
Yeah.
old. Not
But I think it's his original incarnation though. I don't think it's I don't think they're rebranding or rebooting his character. They're just picking him back up for 1989. Like he's still out there fighting crime with the big Batman yellow symbol.
yeah.
I broke that VHS. I played it so much. It unwound itself in my VCR. That's how much I played that movie. That's a classic. And they used him in the Batwoman movie. He said that they filmed him as Batman in that movie that will never be released.
That's crazy. I don't get it, man. I don't. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not optimistic. Like because again, like and maybe because I'm in the minority and I liked some of the stuff DC was putting out lately. You know what I mean?
Right. I see what you're
And
saying.
I can't even say lately because Man of Steel was from like 2013 or 2014.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible. Like I also liked it. To be honest with you, like Batman versus Superman was not the best out of all of them, but it wasn't terrible either. Like you got to see what we wanted to see it, and it made it happen. It's just the Martha situation.
Martha is a little corny. Why'd you say that name?
Why'd you say that name? And they wouldn't let Batman be Batman, right? Like they had more Bruce Wayne than they had Batman. Like they didn't show Batman beating people up, and they didn't show Batman being a detective. They just had Batman just being a billionaire, right? So that was kind of weird as well, right? But Ben Affleck wasn't a bad Batman. Like, and it looks like from the clips I've seen for the upcoming Flashpoint movie, he's actually going to get into it finally. Do Batman like things out there. So I don't think it was bad. I just think they tried to be as big as Marvel too quickly. Like they didn't let it marinate. Like we're gonna have all these movies over a decade to finally get to a bigger saga. They're just like, nah, movie 5. We're going against what was it? Was it Doom? It wasn't Doom. It was
Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday. Like that happened too quickly. I think that was the problem.
See, and I don't know. Like I understand why they would try to do it, right? Because they were like, if we get too far behind, like we're just gonna lose it. Like Marvel it's coming out like gangbusters, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're doing a lot of stuff because you had your Justice League, right? They're like, okay, that's our Avengers, right? Like it's to do Justice League.
Yeah.
So and again, with that one, you had your Snyder cut, right? And then I don't know, I understand why they tried to, but you may be onto something in that they did it too fast, right? So then
Yeah, I think they just went too fast because you had an amazing Wonder Woman movie, right? The first one was amazing. I did not see the second one. I couldn't get. It was just too long. Like it took too long to get into it. The second one, but the first one was amazing. You had your Superman movie, The Man of Steel. That I thought that was really good as well. Then you had what was the one where he fought Zod?
That was Man of Steel.
Was that Man of Steel? No, I mean the repercussions of fighting Zod, like where they went back and they were like, "Yeah, you destroyed
Batman versus Superman."
Okay, so yeah, I was like, did I miss a movie?
No, that's how they made Doomsday. Remember, because he used his DNA. Luthor did.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, I remember now. I don't know. It seemed like it was going too fast. They had Aquaman. That movie was not that great to me. I did not watch the sequel.
Okay,
it wasn't that great to me.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And then yeah. So like that just like you had 3 Iron Mans, you had 2 Avengers movies, you had what was the other thing that they dropped? You had 2 Thors, only one was bad. Out of those 2, the first one was good, the second one was terrible. You had 2 Captain America movies. Like you had almost 10 movies before you got to the big bad, right? And finally, he was like, I do it myself. Guardians of the Galaxy. You had movie after movie after movie building out this universe, and they were just like, yeah, we got to hurry up and get there. I just think they just did it too quickly.
You could be on to something.
because they had all the great characters. Like Henry Cavill as Superman was amazing.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman was perfect fit, in my
I got to be
opinion.
honest with you. I think they could have done better there, right? So when I think Amazonian, I think somebody bigger. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
see what you're saying. I mean, who would they go with? Would they go with oh, see, you didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Mm-mm.
There's I think her name was like Bree from Tarth or whatever. Like
The
it's
big blonde, though. Yeah. Is who you're
yeah,
talking about.
she's a very like she would fit the Amazonian build, right? But it's not a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of CG.
I hear you, but like maybe if they would have gotten like somebody that was like an MMA fighter or
I
something
see
like
what you're
that,
saying.
you know
Like
what I mean?
somebody
Like
who's out there really
somebody is doing it, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I don't know, but again, you got a lot more acting in that, right? So like that'd be great for the fight scenes. So when it comes to the acting, like when they're stiff as a board, like that doesn't really work.
Right. Right. So
But
yeah, so I rocking a hard place, I think, in that regard. But I thought the first movie was good though. Like she was laying them out. Did she kick
sure,
over a whole tower or something like that? Like she came out like the Hulk.
I don't remember.
Like there was like a machine gun nest or whatever. And she kicked it over.
Oh no, she exploded into it. Like she took her shield
Oh, okay,
and went into it. Yeah, yeah.
right.
But yeah,
And
because
then
World War One, right? It's like
yeah,
1918. Yeah.
yeah. And then there was something else she did when she clashed her bangles together and she like blew up that a whole floor full of people. And I was like, there's no way she would have killed everybody in there. And then in the Snyder cut, they show it again. It is pretty gruesome. I was like, yes, that's what I wanted to see. That's what would happen. Um, but yeah, so they're not bringing her back. They're not bringing, or at least not as Wonder Woman. They're not bringing Henry Cavill back as Superman because they're all older, right? So you can't necessarily build a 10-year franchise off people who will age out of these roles, right? To a certain extent.
So doesn't that mean you should just get them out sooner, right? Like so, like this waiting 4 years between movies thing, man. Like it gets to me. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna lock them into a contract for like 3 movies, let's get it out. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what the who's Avatar? Who's the director of Avatar?
James Cameron.
That's how James Cameron does it. He puts people, he makes them work almost to death. He's like, we want to do 5 Avatar movies this summer. You're like, yo, wait a minute. Like they said they filmed like 2 or 3 at one time. It was like the Lord of
Matrix.
the Rings, right? I
Matrix
think
did
the Lord of the Rings. Yeah,
like
the Matrix did that. Yeah, where he stacked all the movies. So I mean, it can be done. That's very true. You'd be like, I think there was a report that people were getting notices like report to this island on this date. We're gonna start filming. Like you can't work your life around that, James Cameron. You're like we're filming 4 Avatar movies
if you want to if you want to if
this
you want to be
month.
if you want to be a part of a $2 billion release, like yeah, you will.
Right. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. He's like, I'll get back to you once I build the technology. Like 10 years later, report to this island. We're about to shoot 5 Avatar movies.
But
3 of them will be
that's it.
underwater.
But that's it for me. Like I said, that was a long part for me. How was your week, man?
um, I really didn't do much this week, to be honest with you. A lot of it was just work stuff. And then I didn't play any games. I decided I was going to play a bunch. I didn't play any of them, right? I downloaded a fighting game called Guilty Gear that was on Game Pass. I did not play it, but I hope to one day jump on it. I'm terrible at fighting games. I've never, ever been good. The best I've ever been was Tekken 2. And I bet I was not that great, but just I felt like I was that great. Felt like I was that guy, right? But like Street Fighter and all these anime fighters, like your Dragon Ball Z fighters and your Guilty Gears and your Blades Blues, terrible at them. But they're so pretty. Like I want to get good at them to do cool stuff in them. Like your Marvel versus Capcom stuff like that. Like I'm just not good at fighting games. I at one point I had one of those sticks. It was a Hori 2, I want to say. It's like I bought it for $100. I sold it for 200. That's how like fighter sticks appreciate in value. It's crazy. But yeah, I should never sold. I should have kept it. But I bought it and I used to practice on it. Right, I'm beating the computer down. I'm like, I'm getting good at this. I show up to a tournament with that thing. They should have took it from me. got the brake speed off of me. But I am looking at, so I was looking, I was like, well, okay, that's fine. I'll get one for these games because it's just more comfortable to play than a controller, just in general. And then you can kind of pull off more stuff because of it. But I'll just play at home. I started looking into it, man. These things are running $200 now. It's like 180 for one. I was just like, oh, that's a big commitment. I don't know about that. But yeah, so I downloaded that, and oh, that was the other thing. They dropped a Resident Evil 4 demo for the remake that's coming out. So like Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite Resident Evils. It's a really good game in general. So they dropped the demo. That thing looks amazing. And it controls well now. Like before they used to control like you're like a tank. You had to like rotate like your whole body and then run in a different direction. But they've modernized the controls. So I can't wait for that thing to come out. I will probably buy that when it releases. Like usually I try to wait for games to go on sale, but I'll probably buy it full price.
But Resident Evil 4 has already come out though, you're saying. So like that's
Yeah,
already
it was I think it originally came out on the GameCube.
what?
Yes, how old that game is. Yep. I think it came out on the GameCube, and then it came out on everything else after that. It's one of the critically acclaimed Resident Evils, right? Like 1 and 2 amazing, 4 amazing. And it kind of modernized Resident Evil at the time, but obviously times have changed, right? That was a long time ago. I even have it on the Oculus. It's like, so on our Quest, it came with Resident Evil 4, the better looking version of it, but not this. Like this looks like a modern, brand new game. So they've rebuilt it and remixed some stuff. Like as I was going through the demo, I kind of was like, okay, I know the village, I know these people. I can kind of navigate around them, but they were smarter and their movements were different. So I was like, okay, it's pretty cool. So I will most likely buy that. That'll probably be my next big game. Oh, and I downloaded Horizon Forbidden West. I'm going to skip the first one. It's official. I'm gonna watch the YouTubes. I'm gonna jump on the second one because it looks amazing, and now it's free. So I gotta get moving on it before this fall is gonna be Starfield, and there's another game coming out. Oh man, what else is coming out? There's a fall game coming out, but whatever that is, those will be the
Was it Spider-Man? Spider-Man?
Yes, Spider-Man. Yeah, so I gotta finish Spider-Man. That's got to be a thing, but I plan on that's a slow burn, right? Because I want to beat it and all this DLC. I've finally agreed. I'm gonna try to 100% it because it's an amazing game. And then by the time I get done with all of that, the second one will be out.
Well, I mean, be careful with that though. Like if you go back to back like that, right? Because then, like when the second one comes out, if the mechanics are the same and everything, you'll be like, this feels kind of.
Yeah, that's true.
I already did.
That is true.
So you may just want to. Like if you don't get to it, like you don't get to it, and then the second one will feel fresh to you, right? Because you haven't.
I mean, I could just skip the first one, just do the Miles Morales, because I have that one too. Do that one. That's a shorter game. Knock that out real quick.
Shorter, yeah.
And then the sequel, and I could just YouTube the first one. YouTube that. So yeah, so not a lot of games this week. Not a lot of TV. So like The Last of Us, obviously I watched the second to last episode, amazing. So this today will be, because it's Sunday for us, will be the finale. So I'm interested to see how that goes down. Because the ending was already controversial. Not that anything. Not I'm trying to think. Not a lot of people like the game is still a masterpiece, but a lot of people the ending makes you uncomfortable. It's unsettling. So I wonder how that's going to be transcribed onto live action people. I'm interested to see how this comes to a close. You over here laughing.
Because, like the way you're saying it, like you're making it like Pedro Pascal is going to be psychologically scarred having to figure this out in live action.
People will be scarred if it ends like the game.
Yeah, and you could be onto something, right? Like to do it in a video game is a lot different than somebody who has to act that out several times over, right? Like the director may not like what they're seeing from the scene. They have to do it 50 times before they get it right. And it's just like, now I'm a serial killer, right? Like if Pedro Pascal, if he find out that from this day forward, he's been killing people in secrecy out in Hollywood, they'll be like, oh, it was because he did Last of Us, right?
He got stuck in the character. He is Joel forever.
Yes. Like, I don't know, man. That's why it's funny.
So we'll see. But no, I think it's going to be divisive towards people, like, because people did not play the game, right? So now they're going to see it for the first time. They're like, oh, I didn't like that. No, we didn't like it either. But not in the bad, like, it didn't make the bad game bad. I can't explain it. I'll be spoiling it. It's divisive. That's all I'll say. So yeah, so I'm excited about that tonight. I'm gonna go back to Poker Face because now I see some more episodes dropped. So I'm gonna hop back on it. I gotta at least finish the first season. See where it goes. And then I started the Star Trek stuff back up again. Like I went back to, I think it's on Paramount, or was it on Peacock? It's on Paramount. So I went back to Paramount and I started to go back through Discovery, because that one's gonna have one more season, and then pick Picard back up because that's gonna go into his final season. And then Brave New Worlds, I have not touched that one in a long time. So I want to get Star Trek fatigued. So I plan on catching up on Discovery and then wrapping up Picard, and then I'll jump back into Brave New World.
So Discovery, I think I heard got pushed to 2024. Like it got pushed back again.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard. Is it got pushed
Oh,
to
okay.
for the 5th season, which is going to be the final season.
Yeah.
So they got to wrap stuff up. But with Picard, I plan on just going straight to the 3rd season. I'm not going to watch the 2nd. Like I've heard from several people, the 2nd season of Picard, even if you miss it and start going for what you have now, like you'll be fine. And I'm like,
oh, really? Okay.
Time. Yeah, for me, right? For me, you know how I get there, right? So like, if I don't see phasers going off, I'm like,
right. Because the first season had some. So they even had, well, they didn't have Patrick Stewart probably doing it because he's you know, he's national treasure. Don't break that man.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised they toned it down in the 2nd season.
That's just what I heard. Like I did not watch it.
Gotcha.
From watching the trailers, it didn't. As more trailers and more scenes came out, I was like, I don't know about that.
Gotcha.
I never watched it, and somebody who's a very big fan, same guy I was telling you about before with the comic books.
Yeah.
He's like, you could miss the 2nd season and be fine with what.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's like, this 3rd season is pretty good. So
okay.
I was like, okay, all right, yep, I'm good, I'm down. So I'll probably start watching that this week, because I was on, what was I on? I was on Prime for something. I was looking for something, and I kept seeing it, kept showing all the Star Trek stuff. And I want to get back into Lower Decks is the name of it, the animated one.
So I never watched that before.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I got 3 episodes in, and I was like, I don't know, but I keep being told you got to keep watching. Like it gets funny. I'm like, I've heard this story before. I got a good friend that's done this before, and I don't know.
Right. So I just never jumped on it. I was just like, I'll get to it one day. I just never did. But yeah, in premise, it seems like it should be pretty funny, but I was just like, man, I'm not really hearing. It's not as popular as a Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites, or I'm not hearing people talk about it. So that's why I never really jumped on it.
No, I understand.
All of which may not exist anymore.
Well, it's going to exist without him as a voice. Or
I just don't know how that's possible. They should just cancel the show.
It's probably too big of a cash cow.
It is. They signed up for 10 seasons. Like Adult Swim's like, you're gonna make more of these. Yeah. 10. I think we've only on like, what season is this? Like 5? Maybe. Like my whole thing is like, I'm definitely not standing up for Buddy, who got the axe, but he just voiced too many characters. That's the problem I have with it. You have to there has to be new voices for almost every, like he's 90% of cartoon characters right now. You might as well cancel all these shows. Start fresh. Because he's all of the iconic characters. So it's like, how do you like, I am sure they will find a funny and clever way of doing it. I am positive. But I'm just like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because people are going to complain. The internet is going to complain. They're going to be like, I don't like it because X or Y or Z or a number of things. I don't think they can appease people when the show was great, right? Like, so the show is still good, but like that second thing, it was like 2nd or 3rd season, amazing, and people were still upset. They're like, oh, I don't like this because of blah. So you're gonna recast all these characters, all of them?
I mean, they have to, right? Because like the whole thing with it. Which one was he? He's Rick and Morty. no. Like, what was his crime? Was it I'm getting them mixed up. Was it
Oh,
sexual assault, domestic violence?
it was all the above. So it was domestic violence, and I want to say pedophilia. Like he was like sexting like a 16-year-old or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Like, and then it just say he was just not a good. He was not a nice person. Like when he blew up, apparently, like people become ugly, right?
Went to
And
his
so they
head.
said, yeah, they said he would berate people in meetings. He would just be just a jerk at all times, and which I never saw. Like all the stuff I saw was customer facing stuff, right? So he was like, "Oh, this guy is hilarious," yada yada yada. Nah, man, people did not like him.
But here's the thing, right? So like when it comes to domestic and pedophilia, yeah, I'm not for that, right? Like get him out of there. It's what it is. But like if
Oh
he's just,
yeah, yeah,
just
he
a
should
jerk,
definitely be put
right?
under a cell.
Yeah. But if he's just a jerk, like there are several actors I know I like that are just like, I can guarantee you they're out there just wilding out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
don't look me in the eyes. You know what I mean? They're going to places like, don't look me in the eyes. Why are you staring right at me? You know? Well, you want an autograph? You know, coordinate that through my assistant. You know what I mean? Like
right, right,
stuff like that. Like I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like you're just being a jerk to people. That's what it is. But if you have a talent, I can separate the two. You know what I mean? Like
right.
acting out something, but like when it comes to stuff like that, that's just like laws being broken. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
make them do their time.
Yeah, but yeah, I just don't know. Like maybe they can find like somebody who sounds similar. Maybe I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who can impersonate his characters. So maybe it's gonna be that. I don't know. I know whatever it's gonna be clever because they have a really good writing team, and the show's always been funny. I'm just like, but has he tarnished the brand?
They'll probably all get hit in the throat at the same time, and then their voice change, and that's how they write it off, right? Like
Right.
they all take
Some
a
funny.
baseball to the throat. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Some funny happen, or they'll jump through because they use portals to go through different dimensions and things of that nature. So they'll think something clever. But is it worth it? I don't know. It's worth
Because
that money.
he was a writer too, right? So like that's how he had some of the direction on it.
They keep distancing themselves from it. They keep saying like, "Oh yeah, you barely did anything on the writing staff." After a certain point, like they keep pushing him further away from it, right?
Yeah.
To preserve the brand. Like somebody put a meme on there. They're going to say like one day they're going to be like they're going to say who we've never heard of him before.
The end result will let you know whether or not that's true, though, right? So it'll be one of those things where like immediately after they've separated from him, like if it just goes straight downhill, but like somebody somewhere had some input to where it was better than this. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how all that shakes out. But yeah, so not much in the way of movies and things of that nature this week. So maybe next week, just learn the ropes, getting used to the schedule, all that good stuff. So we'll see how next week shakes out. I was tempted though. I was tempted to go to the movies to see Creed or Ant-Man and the Wasp. I did neither. I just couldn't muster up the energy to make that happen. So maybe next week, but I doubt it.
Yeah, if anything, I would probably see Creed, but I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon either, because like everybody's starting to get sick in the house. So I'm like, all right, here we go. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Creed 3, I wouldn't mind seeing. But again, Ant-Man and the Wasp, nah.
Yeah, it might not be that bad. I don't know. It's just like everybody has a different take on it. It just depends on who you are, if you like the movie or not. So I probably enjoy it, but will I enjoy it less because it's at home? Probably not. So whenever it drops, I'll probably watch it then. Same thing with Avatar. I can wait for that.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what that's going to get released on though. Like what production company has? Because like here's the thing: every production company that does something out in movies now, they have a streaming service. It seems like, right? Like
right. I would assume Disney though, right? Because they own Fox proper. Like they own everything except for Fox News, right? It wasn't that the only thing I spun out.
Is it? Yeah. Is it
or
a
was
Fox
it sports? Was it?
No,
So
they have
so it
this.
was. Yeah, it was. It was a Fox property. Like now it's a Disney property.
Okay, well then if it's Fox, that's Disney.
Yeah,
So
so I assume it'll
should
hit
be
Disney
seeing it.
Plus.
We should be seeing it. We're like 90 days out, right? Like that's the way they do things, but maybe not because I don't know. Maybe it's still making money.
Oh yeah, they'll release it several more times. That's what James Cameron does. He's like, now it'll be like a matinee situation where you can see Titanic and Avatar.
That's too much time.
He's
Like,
like, that's
no.
like your whole day of being in the theater watching these two movies. That's what he does. He makes these epics.
I don't know.
So
I didn't like Titanic that much either, to be honest with you.
I like the second half. When I got it, it was on 2 VHSs.
Yes,
As a
yes.
kid, you could skip that first one. Go right to the second one. My man's hanging on to the back of the boat and he lets go and he hits the prop on the way down. Like, this is where the action happens.
Oh man.
Yeah. So when I was a kid and so I have a bad excuse for just not caring about all of the storyline stuff to begin with. Like, yucky romance. Let's get to the boat is sinking and pick it up from there. Yep. Good old Blockbuster. But yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week. Definitely continue to tune in. Like I said, go back to Monday, Tuesday for our topics, Wednesday discussion, and then stay tuned on Fridays for more of this. This is what we do on Fridays. Hit up all the websites that go by our name. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on Twitter, Clubhouse, and LinkedIn. And that's pretty much it. So stay safe, stay secure.